Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Trainer Talk. Sorry we missed last week for Christmas. We had 1 week off, but we're back to deliver some more information to you guys. And today we're going to be talking about the most common questions in the fitness or health area. So we're going to go through a couple of the most common questions that people ask themselves, and we're just going to give our best insight and answers to those questions to hopefully help you guys overcome any obstacles you have or any questions you have to get started on your health and fitness journey, especially as we enter into 2022. We want to help you guys get off to a great start and reach your goals. So we'll start out with what we think is probably the most common is, how often should you work out, or do I need to work out every day? The answer to that is, it's going to depend on your fitness level, but if you're a beginner and just starting out with your fitness journey, we recommend about 2 to 3 days of resistance training or just exercise in general. And it doesn't have to be super long. A lot of people think that they need to work out for like an hour and a half or an hour at least. You can get a really good workout in even just 20 or 30 minutes. So if you're somebody that's just starting out, we would recommend 2 to 3 days a week for about 20 to 30 minutes to start. Try to have some resistance training or at least body weight where you're doing full body. So you want to try to maybe do some squats, some upper body like push-ups, sit-ups. If you have weights, that would be great, and try to work in some other functional movements where you're just utilizing your entire body. You want to try to keep the intensity level a little higher, which basically just means you're working a little bit more than you're resting. So a typical circuit for one of us in one of our classes could be like 30 seconds of work, 15 seconds rest, or 40 seconds work, 20 seconds rest, something along those lines. If you're doing like lifts with dumbbells or machines, good way to start is just pick a machine or an exercise, maybe perform 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps. If you want to train more for strength, you're just going to increase the weight and decrease the reps, maybe down to 5 or 10. So that would be a good starting point. I'll let these guys chime in and give their opinion maybe on if you're a little bit more advanced. So
yeah, so a lot of people, like kind of like you were touching on, just like adding on volume as you go, whether it's like adding on a couple other sessions in the week or adding on some time, or progressing to harder workouts, then that's always a good way for more advanced. A lot of people get caught up of having to work out every day, thinking that they need to achieve their goals, where they might not quite be there yet. Like, I mean, we all pretty much work out close to every day. We have like 1 or 2 rest days or active recovery days a week. But a lot of people don't need to be there yet. Some people, the highest they ever really need to get is like 5 days a week. It all kind of depends on how your body is responding. The answer is not always more exercise. It might be adjusting your diet, because if you can't recover from all the exercise you're doing, if you're doing 3 classes in a row, plus workouts every day, like your body's just never going to recover, and you're not going to see the results you want. So that's my biggest tip.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on your specific goals. Like, if you're an 18-year-old and you want to do the CrossFit Games, for example, or something like that, like, yeah, you're going to need to train, like, probably 6 days a week. Maybe 1 day is an active recovery day, but, that you're going to have to put in the work to get to that point to participate in the games. If you're 60 years old and you just want to be able to keep up with your grandkids, maybe you only need 3 days a week. And maybe it doesn't have to be coming to the gym 3 days a week. Maybe you come to the gym 2 days a week. Your other day is just doing something light at home or going for a walk. It all depends on your goals and what you want. And I think the biggest thing is, if you are just starting out, don't overdo it right away. If you try to work out 5 to 6 days a week, you'll probably burn out. You're gonna hurt, you're gonna hate it, you're gonna say, this sucks, I'm not doing it anymore. So you definitely wanna start smaller and then kind of build your way up. But again, I personally think it depends on your goals and where you're at in life.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a huge risk of overtraining if you go too hard too quick. As an example, I think my grandpa has a good habit of walking every single day, close to, let's say, like 2 miles. I think that's a good, healthy habit to do. But he also, for years, has been doing bicep curls with 8-pound dumbbells, and he's a strong man. I think that he's just not getting an effective workout. So finally, he said that maybe I can get a little something heavier. So I gave him a couple weights to work with, and so I go through some beginner workouts with him and show him some new things that he can target, some areas that he's weak in, like his lower back or his knees. Like at 82, his knees have a hard time getting to a full flex position, so he can't do deep squats. So I think that's important, especially at that age. It's important to practice functional movements like that, being able to get down and up there. So
Day-to-day stuff. I love that you said that he got used to those dumbbells, so he wasn't really making any more progress, but he's walking every day. So when you're talking about lower intensity exercise, it's great to just do that every day. Like going for a walk every day, you're not going to overtrain from that, unless you're walking like 20 miles a day or something. But if you're just going for a 1, 2, 3, 4 mile walk every day, that's excellent for just general health. But when it comes to your resistance training, kind of like what Bethany mentioned too, you want to try to change your volume to continue getting results. So after a couple of months of sticking to a regimen of say lifting 2 or 3 days a week, you want to try to add a little bit of volume, which means maybe you pick up a heavier dumbbell, or maybe you add an extra set, or perform a couple more reps, or maybe you just add another training day in general. So maybe you go from 3 days to 4 days, and then work your way up to somebody that's working out 5 or 6 days a week, getting that 1 rest day or 2 rest days. So it's all just a process, but very important what these guys said. You don't want to overtrain right away. More is not always better. If you're just starting out, you're probably going to get better results from working out 3 days a week with a day off in between, and allowing that body to recover and repair. That way you can continue going to the gym and putting in that work without breaking down your body. So just keep that in mind if you're starting out. You don't always have to do more to get better results. In fact, it's quite the opposite. You want to just get started and start improving your nutrition and focus on that more than just like training 6 days a week. So as long as you get started, just know that you don't have to start all out 6 days a week. You can get to that point, but it is a process. So Bethany, let's go to the next question. What is the next most popular?
Yeah, the next most popular question, whether if they're looking it up on Google or if it's people coming in and asking about it, they're like, what is the best diet or best workouts to lose fat and build muscle? Big blanket answer is, well, it depends, but it's whatever works best for you. There's a million different diets out there. There's a million different workout styles and programs. If you're able to stick to it consistently, that's what's going to work best for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. You can do CrossFit, you can do powerlifting, you can run. You kind of really just have to find your niche, which we've done a talk about before. When it comes to workouts, you have to find what you enjoy. You have to try new things. It's not like one size fits all, and you don't have to do a specific type of workout to reach your goals. There's multiple different ways that you can get there. I've recently switched up my training, but I look the exact same. It's not doing different things can make you look different ways, but overall, you just kind of have to find what you like and enjoy. And when it comes to diets, you just have to eat clean, whole foods, and there's not really a specific diet out there that is going to work the best for everybody.
That cookie cutter diet. I think a good note to remember is what was the first thing you said that I had it first?
Oh, it depends. Or consistency?
Yeah, it was something like it was. It was the diet thing. Yeah.
That's
So go ahead and say it.
Yeah, sure.
I'll remember it.
If you remember, we can go back to it. But I think, just the consistency of whatever you're doing is going to lead to the best results. Because here's the reality: a lot of people do these challenges and quick fixes and New Year's resolutions, and they get good results. They tend to do what we just mentioned, they overtrain. They work out every day and they follow this nutrition plan that they hate, to a T for 4 weeks or 6 weeks. They get amazing results, but they can't wait to finish and go back to their old habits. And when they do, they put all the weight back on. And everybody's seen it. You may have done it before. We see it all the time. Basically, what we try to get people to do is whatever you can consistently stick with, you're going to get the best results long term. We like to say, you could do a challenge 3 times a year and still end up at the same exact weight at the end of the year as you started, because you might lose that weight, put it back on, lose that weight, put it back on, and at the end of the year you haven't made any progress. Whereas if you just stuck to something that you actually enjoy, like Caitlin said, and you ate some foods that were just more whole foods, but stuff that you actually can tolerate eating and have a little bit of flexibility in there. We like to say 80-20, 20% of the time, if you have some foods that you enjoy, that's not going to derail your progress. At the end of the year, you're going to be so much further ahead than if you do all these challenges throughout the year and keep going back to your old habits. Because at the end of the day, you have to change your habits in order to achieve the results that you want to achieve. Did you think about?
I did actually. So I was going to start with the fact that it was actually, I do remember, it was once you get your nutrition down, it's important to keep in mind that you will likely spend more time in the kitchen than in the gym, and that goes across the board too, from like beginner, especially in advanced athletes. Even though you get that longer, you have to maintain longer workouts to maintain strength and muscle mass, but across the board, you're going to have to spend more time in the kitchen than in the gym. So that was just the first note. I think there was more to be said. I think we already said it as well. So going on to the next question, if you guys like to.
Yeah. So next one is, can I do functional fitness, CrossFit, fit camps, just like group fitness in general if I'm overweight? I think people come in with a misconception that they have to get in shape before they come and do classes. And I think that just kind of stems from, they just think they're not in shape enough, and they don't want people to like, look at them, they don't want to like die in the class, where, we've had a lot of people just like, jump into classes the first time and like, no one's really watching how much weight you do, and they're not like judging you as like, oh, they're using the 10-pound dumbbells or whatever, like you want to do what you can do, and everyone is here to just encourage you and motivate you. That's the biggest thing, is like, we're not gonna, make you do a whole bunch of weights. We're not gonna, make you run if, you can't run. Like, we're gonna we're gonna have you do what you can do at that time. You don't have to like get in shape first before coming and doing the class.
Yeah, and I think everybody starts from somewhere. You might come in here and come to a class and see somebody, doing a super heavy lift and compare yourself to them, but you don't know where they were a year ago. They were probably right where you are, coming in for the very first time, thinking the same exact things that you're thinking, but they took a leap, they stayed consistent, and now they're able to do heavier lifts, they're able to run or do whatever it is. We all start from somewhere, we all start from ground zero, and it's just a matter of starting and not caring what people think, because they're not judging you. We always think people are judging us, but they're thinking about themselves the entire workout. They're not thinking about you. So that's just the biggest thing to keep in mind, as we all start from ground zero.
Actually, I was going to say the same thing. I think it's important to worry about what we're doing instead of focusing on others, but it is fun to compare ourselves sometimes. Like, I like to compare myself sometimes, but I have to remind myself that you've been doing this consistently for way longer. I have never been able to stay that consistent for that long. So even though I think I'm making decent progress right now, so I have to remind myself that, like, okay, I'm at a good point now. So, and I tell it to clients as well, like, if you're worried about keeping up with your buddy, it's like you just have to focus on doing what's right for you first, and then you might catch back up to that person. Who knows?
I actually like that you said that, because he's starting to do the same training as me, and he's seeing what I can do. And the cool thing about that is you can think about it one of two ways. You could say, oh, I wish I was that stronger, I wish I could do what he could do. Or you could say, if I continue doing what I'm doing, I can get to that point. I can be able to do what he is doing. And so what I would encourage you guys to do is, if you're worried about people judging you, or if you're nervous about a class, ask yourself, would you judge somebody if somebody walked into a class that you were doing? Like, would you sit there and be like judging them? most likely you wouldn't. So other people are not doing that either. They are only focusing on themselves. They're not judging anybody else. Most of the time they're just focusing on the lift that they're doing or trying to catch their breath or whatever, they are focusing on at the time. So just understand that you have to start somewhere. The class or whatever training you're doing is what's going to get you in shape. If you struggle doing it on your own, then you want to try to take that leap, like these guys said, and try something new. We have scaled options or different options for anybody. We've got people in our classes that are 18, and we have people in our classes that are in their 60s, and they're all able to do the same similar workout with different variation. And so it works for everyone, and that's just our classes, but there are so many other options too. A lot of people could start out with personal training. Something that we started doing here is we take people through what we call an on-ramp process or skills sessions. So before you start a class, you can do a one-on-one session with us for 2 to 4 sessions for about a half hour where we teach you all the movements and we give you a good idea of what you're going to be walking into when you do join the class. So just know that we definitely have a lot of options for people to get started and that you're never too out of shape to begin your fitness journey. There's always a place to start. And I really like that you guys said that person started from the same point as you did, because I've been doing this for 6 years now, training clients, and I've owned the gym for 4.5 years almost, and I've seen hundreds and hundreds of people coming in here. And the people that are lifting the heavy weights and they are, doing the fastest Metcons, they were the people that were super scared 2 years ago and couldn't do any of this stuff. And now they are. So same thing like Nathan mentioned, he just started doing CrossFit. I've been doing it for 4 years. So although he wants to do the things that I'm doing, all he's got to do is stay consistent with it and keep training with me, people that have been doing it well. He could just say, I'm a little intimidated, I can't do that, so I'm not going to do it. But he actually wants to learn it, and he looks at me to motivate him and teach him new stuff, and eventually he'll get to that point. So that's really cool. You just have to change your mindset about it and just take the leap and try it, basically.
Next question. Can I do weightlifting even if I'm over 50 or 40 or whatever age where people are thinking, I'm too old to do weightlifting because I'm going to hurt my joints or, I don't need to do it. A lot of people, once they reach an older age, they really focus on cardiovascular, where they're doing this, biking, running. That's what they try to get into for some reason. But as we age, it's really hard for us to build and maintain muscle mass, bone density, and joint strength. Those are 3 things that weightlifting helps you to build, or at least maintain. Like, even if you're not gaining muscle, hey, it'd be nice if you were in the same shape you were in your 50s as you were when you're 80.
Right.
And by lifting weights, you can maintain your strength, you can maintain your stability and your independence as well. You're less likely to fall and break a hip or injure yourself some other way. And it just helps out, it doesn't injure your joints. I mean, if you do it the wrong way, it can. But when it's a planned weightlifting, it's got progressions and certain weights you're supposed to do. You're doing it with the right form, doing the correct accessories, warm-ups, cool-downs. It's completely safe and way beneficial.
I think you hit the nail right
Oh.
on the head.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I think, especially in ages 55 and older, the risk for osteoporosis, osteoarthritis is killer. So those are prime time, that's prime time to start. Yeah, if you don't already include some sort of physical activity in your life past normal daily activities, that's a major important thing to incorporate into your life at that age. Just for bone density.
Yeah. And resistance training is what's going to help with that bone density. So anything that's applying force to your body, so lifting weights. Another thing that I'd like to add is the moment that you can no longer do a squat is the moment that you need assistance, like a walker or a wheelchair or crutches or a cane. Because if you think about how often we do a squat in a day, every time you sit down in a chair and get back up, you're doing a squat. Every time you get in and out of your car, you have to do a squat. So there's literally, potentially dozens of occasions during the day where you have to sit down and get up. And so doing a basic air squat is something that we need to be able to do for the rest of our life. And the moment that you can't do it is the moment that you're going to need assistance. So that's why we train functional movements, and we try to teach people the correct form, and just being able to maintain that strength and that movement is so much more important than people realize. Just being able to go down and up, and just being able to stand. And just a generic starting point, if you're somebody that is in their 50s or 60s and wants to improve their strength or at least maintain and build bone density, same thing that we mentioned earlier, just start with 2 or 3 days a week of resistance training where you're using some kind of applied force, whether it's just your body weight, maybe you sit down in a chair and stand up 10 times and do that for 3 sets. Or if you do have some weights, do some curls and shoulder presses and chest press or something like that, or push-ups and sit-ups. All that is going to help build muscle and help build bone density. So great points, you guys. Is there any other questions we got?
Yeah, another big one. How do I stay motivated?
Biggest one, right?
Big one, which helps keeps you consistent without, getting motivation helps get you started, but consistency is what kind of keeps you going and gives you results in the long term. But a lot of people ask, well, how do I stay motivated? But what they're really asking is, how do I stick to this and be consistent? How do I stay disciplined in what I'm doing? And the big thing that we always talk about is you have to have a big enough why, and you have to discipline yourself to do the necessary things. Even if, sometimes you might not enjoy getting up early and going to do a workout, but if you feel better afterwards, then it's good. Or you might not always like to have your chicken, broccoli, and rice versus someone bringing in Chinese or pizza in the office, but you know that that's what's going to get you to your goals if you have a strong work reason.
I'm going to kind of add in the question that I had with this one because I think they tie it together, and it's what if I don't have the time to work out, or how do I make the time to work out? And I think motivation and time are the 2 biggest things that people come to us, and they do go hand in hand. If you feel like you don't have enough time to work out, you lose motivation for it. And I think it just all comes down to making it a habit. You're not going to be motivated every single day. I'm not motivated every single day, but it's a habit. It's part of my daily routine. You literally have to plan it into your day every single day, or however many days a week you're working out. The last 4 or 5 years that I've been working out, the times that I work out has changed. When I was in college, it was early mornings because that's all that when I was commuting to college, I would have to do it in the morning before I left because I didn't want to do it at 5 or 6 o'clock at night. So you have to make the time. You got to go to bed earlier so you can wake up earlier. Maybe you have to stay up a little later if you are able to sleep in. We all have busy schedules. We all have 24 hours in a day. We're not any different from anybody else. We just make the time. We know it's important. We know that we're not going to hit our goals if we don't put in the work every single day.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that I have to remind myself of to keep myself motivated is, all right, I have a goal, and if I don't do this, then it's going to push off that goal for probably quite some time. So, how do I tell myself to do squats even though I have those nagging pains today? Okay, well, if I don't, then I won't be able to squat 400 like I want to squat. So that's the biggest thing. And I think on that same note, I do deal with some nagging pains with squats, so I have to kind of keep a positive attitude, just oh, it's gonna suck today, going through this. But keeping a positive attitude. So you're not the master of the work you do, but you are the master of your attitude. So that's a big thing to take into consideration. And I think it's also pretty key to do what works best, which we said before, but also it's not just do what works best, it's do what you enjoy. So if you're not enjoying the work you do, and same thing goes with your job, I think we can all agree, but if you're not doing what you enjoy, you're not going to want to continue. So you find those little pleasures to help you stay motivated, I think. Same thing with we do cheat meals sometimes, right? Everybody needs a cheat meal every now and again. I don't think it's good to stay too strict for too long. So,
good key just to stay motivated is you need to have a strong enough why, like she mentioned. So, if you're training for a cruise in 3 months, you're going to be motivated for that 3 months, but what do you do after that? You have no reason to train anymore. So you're going to put all that weight back on, or whatever your goal was, you're going to lose all that progress. So it just comes down to finding a strong enough why. And if anybody out there is a parent, you already have a strong enough why. You need to be there to support your kids, and you need to set a good example for them. So you need to lead by example. And a lot of us can just dig down and find a strong enough reason. Maybe it's family history, and your parents or grandparents all had heart disease, and you don't want to be one of those people that develops that. You need to remind yourself of that reason every single day. I was telling these guys before we started this talk, like, if you gotta write down your goals on a sticky note and slap it on your mirror in your bathroom, on your dresser, on your nightstand, like, to constantly remind yourself of why you're doing everything you're doing on a daily basis, do it. Do whatever you can to make it easier to wake up and go to the gym, or get your workout in, or eat that healthy meal at breakfast. Whatever you struggle with, we need to constantly be working at it. It just comes down to discipline. You're never going to be motivated forever. Motivation is very, very temporary. It's usually mixed up with excitement. Motivation and excitement are very similar, I think. Like, when you start a new regimen, it's exciting for a little while, so that's like our motivation, is we kind of get excited to go do it, but it's going to wear off, and you just have to understand that you need to ingrain it into your identity that you're going to do this. You are a fit person or a healthy person. You need to tell yourself that, and just do it like every other habit that you do on a daily basis. If you're struggling to get motivated to work out or eat healthy, do you struggle to wake up and brush your teeth in the morning and go to work? You probably do, but you do it anyways. Like, it's just things that you have to do. You don't have a choice. You gotta go to bed, you gotta wake up, you gotta get ready, you go to work, you eat. So just treat it like no other, like the same habits that you're doing on a daily basis. And another, just a little trick with that, is to adopt those new habits, is to stack good healthy habits with the current things you're doing. So if you're somebody that struggles with eating a healthy breakfast, maybe leave a note or reminder, or prep your breakfast and put it right next to the coffee pot in the morning or something. Like, so when you go and have your coffee, you have a reminder, or you have your healthy meal right there waiting for you. Something like that. Maybe put your workout clothes on the bathroom counter right next to the sink. That way when you wake up and brush your teeth, there's your workout clothes. You got to put them on, you got to get your workout in. So there's definitely ways to stay motivated, and it's just going to come down to planning and prepping and just reminding yourself of why you're doing it. Like Nathan mentioned, like, he wants to hit a 400-pound squat. That's one of his goals. So on days that he doesn't want to squat, he does it anyways, because he reminds himself of why he's doing it. So that was a good example of just putting in the work when you don't want to. We were talking before we started this talk, when everybody arrived, Caitlin said, I'm not looking forward to this workout today. Like, I don't want to do this Metcon, but she's going to do it because she's got goals and she's disciplined and she's used to working out. She knows that she'll feel really, really good when she gets that workout done. The hardest part about anything is just literally getting started. It's not the workout itself, it's literally just putting on your workout clothes and driving to the gym is the hardest part. Or making your meal. It's not eating the meal, it's just making the time to make it. So I think that would be my tip on motivation and making time. You gotta make it a high priority. If you just stack going to the gym on everything else that you do on a daily basis, you're never gonna make time for it. You actually need to change your priorities. If you have 2 hours of Netflix every night, you can't add the gym into that. You gotta take away an hour of Netflix to make an hour for the gym. You don't gain any hours in the day. With that being said, though, I will say 1 hour workout in a day is only 4% of your day, or 4% of your, I think 3 workouts for an hour a day is like 4% of your whole entire time. So it's a very, very small percentage or investment to make the commitment to bettering yourself. So just keep that in mind. That is all the questions for today. So if you have any other questions that you'd like us to answer, feel free to reach out. Just ask us. You can make a comment on here or shoot us a message. But hopefully these help you guys. Put them into action. and we want to see you guys achieve your goals. So until the next video, stay healthy, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye.